SoulMask has a huge problem, and it's not entirely just the game. So I've been playing a lot of SoulMask recently, and I've been kind of enjoying myself like a lot. But on the other side, a lot of people aren't enjoying themselves and they have a lot of complaints. They keep saying the game feels like it's on hardcore mode all the time, and people are just not happy. People are currently complaining that they keep losing their tribesmen, losing their progressions, even though through the progression, there's ways to resurrect your tribesmen. But people are saying that in itself is way too hard to accomplish, so when they lose their tribesmen, they're just losing them forever. The biggest complaint that people are saying right now is that the main character is useless. As soon as you unlock control, the main character is useless because now you can become a tribesman that's going to be way stronger than your main character, which I do agree partially with. And right now, the devs are saying they're going to plan to make changes to accommodate all these things. But in my opinion, the big problem with SoulMask right now isn't even just the game, it's kind of just the current audience right now. Because in my opinion, I feel like we're totally confusing the devs, and this is not fair. As an open world survival player and enthusiast, I love the grind. I love having to work hard, play smart, so I don't lose everything. If I do stupid things, I lose everything I work for. And that goes across the board from PvE to PvP. You gotta play smart to maintain everything you've worked for. And if we look at games like Conan or Ark, once you lose your best dino or your best troll, it's gone. You have to either have a backup that's already ready and pre-packed, or you're starting again. So why do people want it to be different when it comes to SoulMask? And in my opinion, leveling, restacking stats, and trying to get better pools, better traits, in my opinion, that's something that's fun in games. And if we make the progression easier, that takes away from that fun aspect. And I feel like the fact that you're able to lose your tribesmen and you have to go out there and get another one is just reshuffling your stats until you get that perfect one that actually doesn't die. So why should we make it easier to maintain them or keep them from dying? But putting the tribesmen aside, the main character is useless. As soon as you unlock control, the main character is useless because now you can become a tribesman that's going to be way stronger than your main character, which I do agree partially with. But also there's a few things I don't fully agree with, because right now the devs are looking to change the progression of the main character, which is going to change the progression of the whole game. They're looking to raise its traits level so you can get above 50 on the proficiencies, which I think is not really needed or necessary. When we look at the main character, it does become very useless very quickly, but that's after you max out all its proficiencies to level 50. The devs do intend to raise its cap, but I don't believe anything above like 60 or 70 is a good choice, because if we just keep it just above the old cap, and once you hit the first set of perks, you're good. Because if you're hitting all the perks, then there's no point of going out to get tribesmen, and it makes you stronger in all these other proficiencies, and it just makes the whole concept of the game pointless. So let's raise it just a little bit and not too much, because then it changes the whole progression of the game. But at the end of the day, it's like SoulMask was made on the terms of your main character, or your characters in general, all the NPCs, aren't actually the characters. Your character is your mask. Now, could the devs do something to make that a little bit more apparent? Like maybe add way more customization options for the mask, which makes it more unique to you, because right now everyone kind of looks the same because there's not that much of a selection. But if the devs add hundreds and hundreds of cosmetics that make it a thing where you can make your own mask and make it very unique to you, maybe then people will be less attached to the actual image of the character and actually just their mask. A lot of the people complaining about, oh my goodness, I'm so attached to my main character because I made it, I spent so much time making it. I'm sorry, but if you want a character who is a female with big boobs or whatever, trust me, you can find one of those out in the wild. Just go search. If that's what you're looking for, that's why you're mad that you can't keep your main character, I'm telling you, you can find another variation. Just go look for it. That's not a valid excuse to complain about it. Hey, if you guys watch all my videos, make sure to subscribe. We have over 6,000 people who always come back to watch my videos, but we only have 1.6K subscribers. We're trying to get to 2K. Help me hit that milestone. And just having one character that's good at everything, that just does it all, that one shoe fits all, it makes the game pointless. It makes the game like every other game. Every other game does that. You make your character and you just continue with that same character all the way to endgame. It makes you stop thinking. It makes you stop having fun, because now you're just like, well, I know this character that I have is the best and I've made it to the best and blah, blah, blah. I can go on and do everything. But then in SoulMask, because there's so many different variables, you need to have builds, and you have to have builds amongst your tribesmen, which means there's room for error, there's room for mistake, and when you make a mistake, you have to go back and rethink your whole plan. It gives a little bit more gameplay that you can play towards, and you can always go out to find a better tribesman who's better at something, because the numbers are so random, it's super hard to get that highest level maxed out tribesman with all the perfect traits, which is a good thing. It gives us more things to grind out and play for, longer play times. Because again, when we look at games that are more established like Ark or Conan, once you reach the end game, your character almost becomes as strong as the bosses and everything else becomes kind of like a lazy process. With Ark, sometimes I find myself not using dinosaurs for weeks, and I'm just using tech suits to go get ingots and go farming, and I'm using all these tools that they implemented into the game to satisfy people who are saying the game was too hard, and those same people ended up leaving the game because they got bored of the game and how easy it was. This is a lose-lose situation for any dev. If you make it too easy, people are going to complain it's too easy. If you make it too hard, people are going to complain it's hard. So where's the balance? Where do they stop at? And then in terms of the fact that we can actually play as our tribesmen in SoulMask, it's great, but people are scared of dying. When I used to play Conan full time, I literally wanted to be my Dalencia Snow Hunter so bad, or my Cimmerian Berserker, or my Beastmaster Thamos, and I just couldn't be those characters, which sucked for me, but at least they got to follow me around and help me out. But if I could play as those characters, that would have changed the game. When my Cimmerian Berserker died because I went to do a boss fight that was way above my league, and I died, that was my bad. I had to start again. And then we have this game SoulMask that gives us all of those things wrapped in one, and people are still complaining. Even though they complained about the opposite things on different platforms and different games, now that we get them all together, they're still complaining. People will never be happy. And honestly, I feel like a lot of people jump into SoulMask without actually reading about it and learning the premise of the whole game. In SoulMask, being able to find tribesmen that can specialize in every single niche, that makes them useful. They are all useful, and there will always be someone that's better at something than the other tribesmen. You'll find tribes that are just trader tribes with the best of the best tribesmen for maybe crafting gear or crafting weapons, and you can go there and purchase your gear, trade some copper or trade some materials to get the best. And that brings kind of like a business aspect to PvE servers where there's not going to be a lot of conflict in terms of PvP. And again, it gives every single tribesman that you get a usefulness. They don't have to be stuck in a cryopod. They don't have to be stuck on a bench just working and working, doing the same thing. They actually interact, they go around, and they all have uses. Today, if you wish to take your armor smith out to go fight, you can take them out. In Conan, we could never do that. In Ark, some dinos, if you took them out there, they're going to die. It gives us so much option and so much gameplay that we can go through, but people are still not happy. And if you look at it on the PvP side, this also adds a different dimension to PvP. You either go in with your chief, who will be weaker because that's your main character, or you go in with your strongest tribesmen, and if you make stupid mistakes, you lose them and they die permanently, or you can resurrect them a few times if you have the resources to do so. This makes raiding a thing where people have to think, hey, are we going to do this and get a lot, or are we just going to do this just to be trolls and griefers, or are we going to do this because we actually want to get something from this raid? And again, it's going to stop people from spending so much time wiping bases because they're going to be worried they might come online, or their tribesmen might kill my character that I've grinded so hard to maintain and get perfect. I don't want them to die. When you're raiding, they're going to have to retreat. If they start losing, they're going to retreat. On games like Conan and Ark, they just respawn and go again, respawn and go again. And they always come back with the same stats, the same build, just a different gear set, which makes it very, very difficult to defend against raids. While your base is constantly depleting, I think that's a fair thing when it comes to PvP. But I can say I do agree that the main character should have some utility once you do max it out. Like once a proficiency is maxed out, maybe you get a 2% buff across all your working tribesmen in like a 100-meter radius, making the radius a little bit bigger, give them like a 2% buff across that proficiency, be it mining, be it logging, or whatever it is. That way your main character isn't completely useless once you've maxed it out. Little things to make it useful while you're not using it. Those are the things they need to add to the main character to give it some sort of utility. I saw another creator speak about this, Firespark. I saw the way he suggested it, and I actually actually kind of agree with what he said.
One of the biggest issues is that you don't keep the initial body for very long, as we stated, and then it just sets in your base and literally does nothing. This is supposed to be the chieftain. However, they set normally unclothed, at least in my base, because I end up putting my armor on someone else. I see a very easy fix for this, and literally all they have to do is treat the main character as a chieftain. All of its proficiencies can stay at 50. It doesn't need any special traits other than traits that would make it a chieftain. Traits that influence the entire tribe as the entire tribe grows and progresses through tech. Simply, as you go throughout progressing through the game, the chieftain could gain new abilities that help advance the tribe as a whole. So
I 100% agree with this. If we had somewhere to prop up our chiefs, or have them walk around a designated bonfire, or interact with NPCs on work breaks while we control another tribesman, and depending on that character's level, they may get perks or boons that you unlock every 10 levels or something once they're maxed out in a proficiency, and you get that percentage across the board for your tribe and in your general area. But honestly, I feel like people are only really annoyed because they can physically see their chiefs being idle, sitting down, doing nothing. It's an eyesore, I must agree. If this changes, I think people will be less annoyed at the fact that it's pretty useless at the moment, and that's the biggest thing. The main character, when you're not using it, is pretty useless once you stop using it. The game is SoulMask, where the soul is in the mask. Your main character shouldn't be seen so much as the body or the character you created, but as the mask and the customization of the mask. And that's what we're going to touch back on, the fact that if they add more things so people can make the mask more unique, I think that might also help fix the problem. And in all honesty, we don't want to over-easify the game. We don't want to make it too easy. People need to understand dying in games is okay. We aren't all perfect players. There's no need to be so mad when you die. It's a game. Chill. Get over it, go back and play again, keep having fun. Because personally, I find with myself and friends, if we play a game for too long without dying, we get so bored and we move on to the next game. Dying resets your brain. Doing something wrong and having to start again resets your brain. It makes you have to think. It makes you have to say, okay, what did I do wrong there? What can I do better? So if you never die because you're just so OP because they made the game super easy, you never have to think. That's a boring game. And right now, the SoulMask devs are trying to work closely with the public on the early access version to get a final release ready. Although I believe this is good, I also think it can lead to some people wanting or pushing a narrative to create a game based on solely their preferences. The devs had a plan. They had ideas. Let them expand on this. Let them finish what they're doing. Pointing out bugs and difficulty fixes on bosses, NPCs, talking about the AI and the fact that it's not working perfectly, those things are okay, but trying to change the fundamentals and the foundation of the game is crazy. Let's air our opinions, but the forcefulness is crazy at the moment. We need to kind of reel it back in a little bit. Give them time, let them progress on what they're creating. Let the devs present us with things and we improve it slightly. We don't want to change the whole way the game is built and what the game is based upon. Until we are at full release, I believe the devs know best. In most scenarios and for most games, the devs know what they're doing. They're pretty decent so far. The horizon does look good. Let's not ruin it by trying to change something that they had a plan for. We don't have a plan. You didn't know about this game until they announced that they were making it, but they've probably been in production for years. So yeah, those are my thoughts right now on the state of SoulMask and how it's going. Let me know what you guys think about it. Do you think it's okay for us to want to change the whole fundamental of the games and people complaining so much about things that are kind of just how the game is supposed to be? That's just how the game was intended to be. So why are we all so mad about it? I think the way the game is based right now on the progression is okay. The things they need to fix is there's a lot of clutter in the skill trees. We need to do things like fix the AI. The battle AI is crazy right now. NPCs don't work the way they should be all the time. And sometimes it's easy to cheese things. If they fix the combat, fix the NPCs, fix the AI tracking, because the pathfinding is kind of janky right now. If they fix all these kind of things, I feel like the game is going on a very sturdy path. So those are my opinions. Let me know your opinions. If you agree with me, make sure to let me know in the comments below. Make sure to leave a like and a subscribe if this is your first time here. And until next time, I'll see you guys then.